بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين. Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, today we will be in the second talk of our series. Just a quick review through what we went through last time. I want to thank those who send me their writing. It's really good, and I do encourage the others to write if they want to be involved in this, because that's the best way of knowing how much this sinked in. So we started with who recommended the 50 words. The 50 words is Ayat al-Kursi, and so the Prophet ﷺ says that this is the best thing in Quran. The best thing in Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, and the best thing in Surah Al-Baqarah is Ayat al-Kursi, and there are 50 words. In each word there will be a 50 blessing. And we started with Allahu la ilaha illahu, Allah, there is no God but He. So we started with whether we can imagine that there is no creator. We did not take long in this. We have discussed it previously in details, but the reason that we didn't talk a lot about it, because in simple logic we cannot imagine that there could be no creator. So there should be at least one, and we proved that by simple logic, so we could manage to move through. So then we showed this. If we play this game and each one will pull from one side, if you remember, this paper will be ripped off, and then we applied this on a country, and the country, if there are many rulers, will be ripped off also. And then we questioned what happened to the human being if this happened to him or her. If many things pull him or her from many sides, what will happen? And then we came, so who are these real king and new king? Remember we talked about it. It was, one of them was our stomach is our king or our God. Our anger could be our desire, our love to lead, and the worst of them is our ego. We usually love ourselves more than anything else. So that's how we started. And then the question was, how can we find under whose influence a person is? The best thing is to see who's this person usually thinking of. So if we think of our stomach, if we think about cars, if we think about games, these are the gods that can control us. And for that, Allah says He does not accept partners, and these are the partners in us that take the space, and Allah would not accept that. Then the question was, what do you understand from this talk? How do you understand this verse? And most of them believe not in God without associating other as a partner with Him. Alhamdulillah, those who answered, really it was good. Many of them has identified the other gods in their brain, in their cells, in their souls, like games, food, extra. And inshallah we will put a plan in these 12 weeks. And my recommendation is, if you choose so many things to remove altogether, it's usually difficult and we may fail. If we can specify one, it will be much easier if we can do that. So let's go further from now. Let's take another perspective to La ilaha illallah, another perspective to no God but He. I will start with this. Just imagine, this is a story, and this is in the middle of the ocean, in the bottom of the ocean. And once upon a time there was a old fish, and so many young fish came and asked her. They said there is something called ocean. Where can we find it? How can we see it? I said, "Whoa, this is a difficult question. How can I answer that?" She said, "Oh, well, it's really difficult question, guys. I need lots of explanation to answer you. They said, oh, we love it. We want to know. So he said, okay, let's go together. So this old fish took the young fishes to a very long journey, and then in the middle of nowhere, she said, here we are. That's the ocean. So when I say middle of nowhere, in the middle of the ocean. And she said, that's it, that's the ocean. And they said, oh, an old fish, you don't understand anything, probably you are demented now. This is exactly where we are, this is the sea. She said, no, this is the ocean. So what happened? Why do you think that they could not recognize it? What happened? This is a question for you guys. Can anybody answer why they could not appreciate that they are in the ocean?
Because they haven't seen anything outside it.
Because a lot of people don't recognize what they have until, like they say, like unless it's gone.
That's right. So because we are so familiar with it, exactly. So this is very nice answer from Zayn, because he said we don't sometimes recognize until it's gone. And the best example and the easiest example to understand is, for example, the sun. If we are in a place and the sun does not set at all, there's no sunset, it's always there. We take it for granted that a light should be there, but once we have light and night, we appreciate that there is a sun. And that's exactly what happened with them. So they could not appreciate the presence of water around them because they're always in water. Keep this in mind, we will progress inshallah. So what we talked about La ilaha illallah, we said Allah Almighty, He is the one who should be our God, who who actually be the leader for us and guide us to the right thing. But we do associate other gods like myself, I, or my money, or my games, or food. All these take the room and doesn't leave much room for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our mind. So this is what we discussed last time, and this to know Him inside us. And this is the Wahid. So do we have one God or many? But we want to expand that. We want to expand that to go to know Him Almighty everywhere. So I'm taking you today from inside to outside. How can I understand His presence everywhere? And there's a difference between the two, if you can appreciate that. There's a difference. When I talk about Him as one inside me, I'm talking about Him compared to all the other things that I put before Him. But the reality of Almighty, although we cannot understand all the reality, this gone.
Click.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's behind.
So what happened here?
I actually have no clue. Minimize it.
Alright. So the difference here is between understanding or our relation to God inside us and the reality of God, which is everywhere. So that's what we call the first one. We call it the numerical oneness, and the second one is the Ahad, is the only one, the encompassing one. There is difference between these two. And let's talk now about the second aspect and perspective, or the presence of God. I want to give you this example. Just imagine you have this box. This box is sort of involving the whole screen. If I put one box in it, right? This is one, right? Is there a possibility for another one to be put in?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there is. So actually it's not an impossibility to have another one, but there is one. So another one is possible. But if I put a box which fills the whole space, is there a possibility for another one?
No.
So that's the reality. A partner to Allah is not a reality. It does not exist. There is no space or time or capacity for another one, because Allah everywhere. If we understand this, it's just a different perspective to how we live with God, inshallah. Because He is everywhere, because He's encompassing. And there is no partner, because there is really no place for a partner. But when we talk about the one God inside us, that's what we try to or we sometimes get deceived and put somebody instead of him, but the reality is only him. So Allah is the only one, the encompassing one, and He's everywhere. Now you may ask, how does that understanding help me? Let me take you through a very short journey, not very long. The most important thing, it will change my understanding to Quran. In what way? Allah says in Surah Al-Hadid, Huwa al-awwalu wal-akhir. He is the first and the last. And wal-zahiru wal-batin. And the manifest and the hidden. And He has knowledge of all things. Do I have mistakes?
No.
Okay. Right. Sibawai is correcting. Oh, it's good. Excellent. And in another verse He said, we verily created man, and we know what his soul whispers to him. That's very close, isn't it? We are talking even beyond our body. And we are nearer to him than his jugular vein. Do you all know the jugular vein? Right, so it's really close. So He's closer than this inside us. So what does that mean? Let's start with the awwal wal akhir, the first and the last. I'll give you this example. Some of you have already seen this before. Just imagine you have this cup, and you are going to fill it half with water, and then lock it closely, and lock it strongly, so nothing will escape. And you have this very good device that you can put in and evacuate. So there is a vacuum, there is nothing inside the cup at all, nothing. Has the cup disappeared?
No.
No, it still exists, right?
Yeah.
So even if there is nothing inside it, there is a cup. I will take this example to a bigger one. If you imagine there is something really big, very big, and I have the ability to empty it, and then I filled it, and then I empty it again. Has that thing disappeared?
No.
I want you to imagine this rather than just looking at the computer. Imagine that the place we are in, we all dead, we are all empty. What's this voice? Can you guys mute? I think what happened is I'm hearing my voice returning back to me. If you don't mind, mute if you are not talking. Thank you. No, somebody hasn't muted. Anyway, right. So if everything empty, has the space gone? Is there any time where there is nothing in a way of even the emptiness is not there? Do you think there is such a time? I need your answers.
What?
Imagine where we are living now and everything gone, and we are gone. Do you think there is something called nothing?
No.
No. So actually the nothingness does not exist. And that's why when they think that the whole thing started from one small single thing and then enlarged, this really doesn't fit anything, because we cannot imagine that there is nothing. There is something always exists even if everything disappears. So something always exists, and then the whole universe came in, and then even when the whole universe will disappear, there's something that exists. What's that thing?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So can anything be before Him? No, because He always exists. And can anything come after Him? Again, no, because He always exists. So this is why He is the first and the last, because He's always there. Any question till now? No? Let's go to the next step now. Wal-Zahir wal-Batin, the manifest and the hidden. How can something be manifest and hidden in the same time? let's ask this: why can't we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I'll give you an example. Now, can you see anything on the screen?
No.
No, it went black, right? I'll give you this. So if this person was presenting something, so what he's using the data projector. The data projector usually use some light, right? The light goes there, and that's what happened. And then he put one of his slide, similar to my slide, was black. Now, and if we have the room is totally black, it's gone, right? The device is still working. Can we see the light inside the device?
No.
No, but it's still working.
Yeah.
So the reality is the light still exists, but we cannot see its manifestation. We cannot see its effect. So it's there, but we cannot see its effect. While once the person changes the slide again, the light will come up and we can see the effect. So the projector at some stage was there but hidden, and on another stage, because we see its effect, it's manifest. Does that make sense? Yes? No?
No.
No? Okay. Why not? Did you say no or yes? I didn't hear you well.
I said yes.
Oh, okay. Right, sorry.
We said yes as well.
Oh, okay. So probably I'm hearing myself. So can the question then come, if we doubt that something which we cannot see, how can we believe in? Can we see everything else? Simply, we can't. We do read a lot about bacteria. Have we ever seen it before? Well, the only way we could see it is when Leeuwenhoek discovered the microscope. So before that, how did we realize that, or how did we expect that there's something small causing problem? From its effect, from the diseases, right? So we can feel their presence. I'm sure all of you has felt it before, right? When you have this, unfortunately. So when we are sick on the bed, we know that some bugs has come in, and that's what we don't like about them. But we don't see them. If we see them, we will just take them away, but we cannot. So we do feel their effect, but we don't see them. Now, why we don't see them? Because really we need the right tool to see them. So in this case, can this person see the flower?
No.
Why do you think he cannot see the flower?
There's a book in the middle.
Because there's something in the way.
Right. But if we use this device with two mirrors, he can, right?
Yep.
So if we use the right device, we can see. Unfortunately, we do not have that device to see God. He's beyond our limitation. But we can see His effect. And His effect all around us. Now, can we feel their presence? So, for example, you see the light, the cars, the rockets, or all these things. When you see them, what comes to your mind? Somebody has done it, right? So those guys have been working very hard to bring this to life. Doesn't it come to your mind that somebody who's clever and made it?
Invented.
Do you really insist to see that person?
No.
We never do, right? We don't need to see them. Actually, sometimes even we don't bother to know their names. But we know that somebody has done it, because we see how good the product is. So that's the meaning of the manifest and the hidden. Hidden because we don't have the device to see Him, but He's there. And manifest when we can see the effect, the manifestation of Him Almighty. Any questions till now? So the reality is, if we don't have this understanding of ahadiyya, of ahad, of la ilaha illallah, of He is the one from this perspective, really it's difficult to understand this knowledge in Quran. So again, if he's everywhere, so he is the first and the last, because he's always there and he will be always there. So he is the first and the last. And because he's always there, even when we don't see him, he does not go away. He's always there. That's why he is the manifest and hidden. So also because he's everywhere, he will know everything, isn't he? So he is bikulli shay'in alim, and he has the knowledge of all things. Again, without this understanding, it will be really difficult to understand Quran. So the question now, how close is he to us? How close is he close? And subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, as we read, we verily created a human and we know what his soul whispers to him. So he even knows the whisper of us, and we are nearer to him than jugular vein. Now if we play hide and seek and somebody who was very clever, that's the way he hid it. What do you think about that?
Myself.
Very clever, right? So the question is it they don't see me or I don't see them? And that's our relation with God. We think sometimes we are alone, but He's everywhere. So we think we are hiding, but the reality is we are hiding because we think that He doesn't see us, but the reality is we don't see Him. Take this example. What is she doing?
Eating cake.
She's not eating cake alone, she's stealing the cake. I say not hers. She's trying to take others. Now just imagine if she entered the room, she saw the cake and she decided not to take it, and suddenly this young chap came in. Would she feel shy of doing it?
Yes.
Yes, she will.
Yes.
So before she thought that nobody's seeing her, that she put the bucket on her head, and now somebody is. Now if in that room there were 2 cameras, and these cameras are connected to her bosses, and then they told her, we saw you stealing the cake, would she be embarrassed? Very badly, right?
Yes.
And now they told her, now these cameras actually connected to everybody. It's shameful. She wouldn't do it. Would she do it if she knows about the camera?
No.
She wouldn't. What about if really there's somebody who's always there, and this is Allah Almighty, always watching? Should we do what He doesn't like? That's what we read in Dua Kumail. And you are who's watching me behind all of them and witnessing what's hidden from them. So we need to absorb this. This understanding would make our relation to God is different. This understanding would make our behavior different, because we know that He's watching us. But I don't want to take this in the negative way. This is not the one who is a policeman. This one who's watching. So when I go with the bucket on my head, and then I realize that He's everywhere, I will behave better, and I know the bucket doesn't help. But at the same time, remember, those of you who saw this movie, it's the life of Pi. When Pi, if you imagine your situation in there, alone in the sea, with a tiger around you, and this is really our life. We have many tigers around us. We are alone in the sea in a way. The only one is the carer. And if I have this feeling He's everywhere, I'll be so strong. I'll be so strong that I won't actually afraid of anything. So if we imagine Him that He is not a policeman or a judge, but I do fear Him because I love Him, because I am shy of that who I love can see me in doing something that is not good or He doesn't like. Can you feel this different perspective? So it's not the fear of a tyrant. It's a fear of somebody who I love. I don't want to hurt him. So that was the second benefit from learning. So first, understanding Quran. Second is more connection with Almighty God. And then last but not the least, the question is, I cannot see him because I don't have the device, but I can feel his presence. I can see and sense his effect. I have this feeling he's all around me. How does that help? Think about it. That's how it feels. If I feel that Allah is everywhere, in the whole universe, everywhere, He is in the farm, He is in the falls, in the cave, in the forest, in the city, in my school, everywhere. It will make my life much nicer and much better because I know I'm supported in wherever I go. And that feeling should be different than this. So for example, if I see the car, the movie, the cake, I will know that somebody who's good and say, whoa, mashallah, he was really good to do that. But I need my relation with God to be different in a way. Example, for this young man, he know that he has a good teacher. He does remember him when he remember where he taught him. But if he had everybody around him tell him that he taught me, he will remember him everywhere. We will need to try to work to reach to that relation with God that we can see Him in everywhere. Even when I see you, you are creatures of Allah Almighty. I do remember Him. I mean, not I, but in general, that's what we need to work on, inshallah. So I remember His effect everywhere around me, and this will make my life much nicer and much more beautiful. So this will make me feel His presence more and more. With that, then I start to understand dua better, so I can connect to Him better. So in dua of night prayer, what do I say? I say, أناجيك يا موجود في كل مكان لعلك تسمع ندائي. I call you, O you, who's present in everywhere, hoping He will hear my call. If we don't have this understanding that He's all around us, how can we interact with this dua? It's really difficult, but this will give a beauty to everything we say and read. He's everywhere, He's around me. Actually, even now if you turn your face to sideways, He's there, beside you, but you cannot see Him. So to conclude, oneness of God can be understood in different perspectives and all are correct. What we discussed is one perspective is the numerical oneness, and this is inside me, Him or somebody else. And all of us need to work on the partners to get rid of them. But the more beautiful things is Him all over. And that would make my life much easier, because when I'm protected and supported everywhere, it will be much more beautiful feeling. How does that understanding help me? First, as we said, we understand Quran better. We
Outdoors.
Connect to Almighty God better and feel His presence around me and connect with dua. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the work, the exercise for the week will be, again, please try to remember and memorize this ayah. It's one ayah, 50 words. If we work on it, we can reach. But the most important thing now, from the understanding that we discussed today and the two meaning, I want you to go through this dua and tell me what do you understand now, with your understanding at this stage. What do you understand from these two paragraphs of the dua and from these two paragraphs of the dua of Imam Hussein? They are not that long, but really they are profound. So that's all what I need from you, inshallah. If you can. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad again.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.